What if you could master the basics of the Obsidian note-taking app in one sitting? Hi, I'm Nick Milo, and I've combined my entire Obsidian for Beginners series into one uninterrupted masterclass. Like nearly 4 million people before you who have watched this video will help you master Obsidian from your very first note all the way to a powerful thinking system. Let's get started. Okay, let's start by downloading Obsidian. Go to Safari, type in obsidian.md, and just download the latest version. Allow that to download. Close this. Once it's done, open it up, and simply drag it into Applications. So I've already done that, and I've put it into my dock here. So let's open it up first time. It should look like this for you. And it's saying open folder as vault. Create a new vault. What's a vault? A vault is simply a folder that Obsidian is looking at for its files. So let's create a new vault, and let's just call it a folder. And browsing location, let's put that folder on the desktop. And let's create it. Here it is. So what we see is it's right here. That's all it is, a simple folder. Real quick, by the time you watch this, parts of Obsidian might have changed how they look or behave, and that's okay. Just scan the QR code on the screen here, and I'll send you details on exactly what's changed in Obsidian since this course was published, the most important features and the most important visual changes. I'll even send you a heads up on any major changes in the future. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so this is Obsidian. We're in. This is what it looks like. A little intimidating. I want you just to focus on this button, new note. That's the most important note right now. So let's click on that. I'm gonna blow it up a little bit. Right away, it allows us to change the title up here. Let's call this guy Note Star. Our very first note, I hit tab, puts my cursor here, and I'm just going to say, hi, I'm a new note. That's all. Note Star is just saying I'm a new note. So what we want to see here is that if we go back to the desktop in this folder, this is NoteStar. That's it. It's a .md file, Markdown, which is the same as a plain text file that you can open up with TextEdit, which is on any Mac in the world. It's plain text is a type of format that as long as there are computers, there will be computers that can read plain text. And that's what we mean by a different term, future-proofing, that we'll get to later. Now going back to Obsidian, we've made a note, but what happens when we want to make a second note? Remember this, new note, okay. And let's call this one never note. No one likes me. They only like. This is the first magical moment in a software that can make links. I'm going to hit bracket, bracket, which pulls up a list of all my notes, and I'm going to select NoteStar. They only like NoteStar. Now if I do a click on NoteStar, it takes me back to that original note. That is a huge, huge game changer. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps here because once we start linking our thinking, it opens up a whole new avenue of thinking. Honestly, it kind of reopens up the avenue of how our brains actually work. So we're kind of getting closer to what feels natural. But let's use like a real situation on this. Imagine you have a favorite movie. We all have our favorite movies. For me, one of my favorite movies is The Matrix. It comes up all the time in conversations. I'm thinking about the red pill and the blue pill and choices. So why not kind of externalize that in this piece of software? So let's go back to new note. And I'm just going to say The Matrix. And I have pre-written one sentence. So first off, what am I trying to do here? I'm not trying to make a critique of the movie. I absolutely could. But for my purposes, what I like are the ideas, the concepts that I glean from different sources, such as movies like The Matrix. And Morpheus presents Neo with this choice, the infamous red pill, blue pill. And so what I'm going to do is just highlight this. I'm actually just going to hit the bracket and then bracket button again. And so I've created a potential new note. Now, once I click on it, now it's a new note over here. Here it is, right? That's pretty cool. That's really powerful. That's awesome. So what's so cool about red pill, blue pill? Well, it's really about choices and the willingness to have one's beliefs challenged. And, the more I thought about this concept, I threw in a second sentence, which is perhaps it's so difficult to take the red pill because we lose that sense of control, right? And sense of control is definitely something that's integral to a lot of my thinking about when I, feel in charge of what I'm trying to accomplish, and other times when I feel like chaos is taking over. So I know that's a note in the future that I'll want to create. But here's the thing, right now I can just add these brackets and it won't create the new note until I click on it. So it's just kind of a placeholder. It's a reminder for myself. Here's the other thing though. This reminds me of something. So I might type here related and let's call this adversity paradox. Cool. Now let's click on it to create the new note, adversity paradox. And so the adversity paradox is this crazy idea that we're never really seeking out adversity in our lives, but when we find it, we tend to grow from it. So it's the idea that we get stronger from the stressors in our lives. I mean, that's pretty fascinating to me. So I'm thinking about this idea, and it makes me think immediately to a book that I had to read in high school, and I fell in love with actually. It was by Viktor Frankl, and it was Man's Search for Meaning. And he makes the argument, he's a Holocaust survivor. He was. And he makes the argument that it's not sex that brings us meaning, like Freud would say. It's not power that brings us meaning, like Adler said. It's suffering that brings us meaning. Now, like, nowhere in the adversity paradox is the concept of Viktor Frankl. But because of how our brains work from our own personal experiences, in this case mine, I was able to make this connection. And to me, this is really powerful. And this is the power of linking your thinking, is because you can create these thoughts over time and they start to grow and build, which we'll get into more. So I'm just going to make the Viktor Frankl note. I'm not going to touch it right now. And I'm going to go back to the adversity paradox. What else? Maybe Nevernote could learn a thing or two from this concept. All right, so now we tied Nevernote back into this. And this takes us to the next really cool aspect of linking your thinking, which is backlinks, also known as linked mentions. So right now, check this out. We're in this note called Adversity Paradox, and it has a linked mention to red pill, blue pill. Let's click back to that. Now, what does that mean? On red pill, blue pill, it links to the adversity paradox. So going back to the adversity paradox, here's the linked mention, right? Now that we're at red pill, blue pill, we have that the matrix links to it, right? And we can even read in context that it says Morpheus presents Neo with a choice. So we can click on that, and now we're back to the matrix note. So that's how these linked mentions work. And it's a great way, as you look at one note, to see all of the different connections that you've made. Which takes us to the last point, the last part of this demo, which is the graph view. Now check this out. This is pretty cool. This is what we made in the program today. We started with NoteStar. Basically, Nevernote didn't like NoteStar and was jealous of NoteStar. And so when we linked the two, we formed a new relationship. And now these two notes are linked. And we can build context through that link. And then Nevernote, well, we didn't go in this order, but now it's connected to the adversity paradox, which is connected to Viktor Frankl. Adversity paradox is also connected to red pill, blue pill, which is connected to the matrix. So in this way, we have created all sorts of contextual goodness. So let's take a step back. In a short amount of time, we've made all sorts of new connections. We've externalized them in a program like Obsidian, and we've started to grow them and cultivate them. And the magic is, let's go back in. because let's say a year passes and I get back to this red pill, blue pill, and I'm thinking to myself, this reminds me of something that just happened yesterday to me. And I write this in. This reminds me of something that just happened, etc., etc. And so do we see what's happening here? This note doesn't lose its value over time. Its value actually grows in time. As I have more experiences and I externalize those experiences, the connections grow. Now, why is this important? First and foremost, when you link your thinking, you improve your ability to recall those memories, those thoughts, those ideas. And that's the most important thing. We want to be able to have confidence that we can find what we're looking for when we want to find it. That is first and foremost. And when we link, we have a better chance of remembering. Secondly, it allows us to build things, as we're seeing here. So we might not start with the perfect Michelangelo sculpted out of marble, but we can get there slowly over time, right? And that's just through our own experiences that we're adding value to our existing collection of thoughts. But practically, you might be thinking, why is this important? Well, it depends. I mean, if you're somebody who is a creator, this is the perfect way to create a new article or make a new speech because you've already done 80% of the work. Now it's just crafting it and honing it for whatever particular medium that you hope to deploy it in. But I find that a lot of value just comes from having conversations with other people. And having this in the back of my mind, I'm making all sorts of leaps of insights across genres and domains. And it just makes every conversation that you enter that much more interesting and fun and engaging, because now when you're listening, you're more actively engaged because you're trying to, understand whatever that person is saying in some other concepts that you've taken some time to really flesh out. And this is where newness and novelty comes from. Okay, so let's begin. First thing I'm going to do is hit that button, the new note button. And this creates a new note. We can title it at the top. I'm going to paste in the 6 most important keys to typing in Markdown. I'll paste it again in here. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just bold or italic, right? Well, no. Maybe in traditional text editing in Word, we would think bold and we would think italic. But in personal knowledge management, we need to think how to connect ideas. We need to think about how to link your thinking. With that in mind, we've already discovered the most important part of Markdown, which is the link. And that's where we hit bracket, bracket, and then all of a sudden we have this list of our notes. Programs like Obsidian are really smart. So if I type NO, these are the notes that remain. And if I hit S, there's an S in Note Star. Then I just have to hit Enter. Boom. Now we have that link. That's pretty wild, right? What's cool about this, if we go back to Graph View, we now see the 6 most important keys to typing a Markdown connected to Note Star, right? That should look familiar by now. So let's go back to this. That is the link. Super powerful. The thing about the link is, it is a strong, direct connection. But that's not the only type of relationship that we can build between ideas, and not the only type that we want to make. The other one, and number 2 when dealing with Markdown, is the tag. So, good example of this is I'm looking at my note library and I see a couple concepts in here. So let's try using the tag. Let's use hashtag concept, okay? And I see the adversity paradox, and I'm just going to, at the bottom, just put in concept. And look, it already auto-completed for me. And I also want to put in concept to red pill, blue pill. So at the bottom, I'm just going to hit C and enter. Now we have that. So how does this work? So if I command click on concept, we get to search. We'll cover this in detail in the next video. But you can see right away that those 3 notes give me the results because they have the tag concept in them. We can do all sorts of things with these results, but the most important thing to know right now is that's how tags work. Okay, now we've covered the link, we've covered tags. Now let's get into how to make our text look a little bit prettier, and let's start with italics. So now we're getting into this aspect. And so what happens is italics, typically you want to emphasize something. So as you're typing and you want to emphasize something, you add asterisks. And there you have it. So we can see that we have italics in this section. How did that happen? Markdown reads these asterisks to single asterisks like that to give you italics. Now let's take that to the next level. The number 4 most important key to working in Markdown, you got it. It's bold. So how do we do this? So bold is typically I will use this when I want to bring attention to big nouns. And what do we do to get bold in this case? Double asterisks on both sides, and that gives us big nouns. Excellent. Now, we're almost there. Now we're going to get into the formatting and cover lists. So we've been making a list. Now what does that look like? If I hit dash, hyphen, and space, then I've created a list. And what I'm going to do now is delete, so then I can enter, and software like Obsidian is smart enough to know that a list has began. So now when I do this, I'm starting to make my list and it's naturally forming. So now we have formed a really cool list, and that's how it's done. And the 6th and final thing that we want to do to get a handle on Markdown is to understand how to use headers. So let's go through the notes and explore this a little bit. It's actually hashtag, but then you hit a space bar. This gives us that title, and there are 6 levels of this. So let's explore in some of these other notes. Adversity paradox, I usually like to have that here. So I'm going to hit hashtag and then adversity paradox. Doesn't that look pretty nice already? And let's imagine we wanted to hit related here and make this something new. So we hit 3 hashtags, and look at that. It's smaller, it's a header 3. Header levels go from 1 all the way down to 6. Let's see other examples as we're prettying up our notes. This is the never note. Kind of redundant, but we put it right there. Same thing with note star. See how quickly this can go after a while? I'm going to paste. What I'm doing is I hit the hashtag and boom, I'm pasting in the title. Related. Okay, so you remember how I did that previously? This time I want related to be the header 3. So now we have something that looks pretty nice. And sure, I could go header 4, I could go 5 and 6, and we see that they're kind of all the same size at that point. This is 2. This takes us back to header 1, which is the title. But I think 3 is kind of a nice subheader in this position. The matrix we didn't put in. So you can see how fast you can start to format your text. Now remember, you don't want to stay focused on this, but it doesn't hurt. Viktor Frankl, I might add, what's a perfect tag for a person? It'd be the people tag. So I'm coming back through these notes. I'm trying to make them pretty. Here I might put in movie. I would. This, I'm going to put in PKM. Do you need to put these tags? Not necessarily, but you see how easy it is as you're going in and out of your personal knowledge management library. You can simply add a couple things here and there and just incrementally improve your ideas. And the beauty that we'll touch on later is that when you get these touches, what you're really doing is you're getting reps, you're getting repetitions, and every rep that you get does something up here. It allows those neurons to connect a little bit easier, a little bit more efficiently, and that's what allows us to remember and recall even better. So yeah, we just go through and we kind of improve the notes as we go. What's note star? For the sake of it, we'll just say that note star is under the people tag. And now that I have a few, I can click this one and see that we have Nevernote, Note Star, and Viktor Frankl. So that's another way that we can kind of use those weak relationship builders, tags, to our benefit. Now this is one list, and finally we're going to change these up, which is a tiny bit of formatting, but you can see that this is an auto numbering list as well. So this is another form of the same thing. And here we have it. The 6 most important keys to typing in Markdown. The final note I want to make on this that's really important is there's no formatting bar at the top. Why is that? It's because for text that we create, the most important thing is the idea that we have, that we want to get on page, that we can externalize, that we can articulate, that we can put into a place that we can then return to and grow. So formatting is out of the way and we can focus on the most important value creating activity, which is actually thinking, writing out those ideas, and expanding those thoughts. So picking up from where we left off, let's make a new note, and I'm going to paste in the next lesson. The 8 most important settings in Obsidian. Obsidian is full of so many settings, so just choosing 8 was kind of a difficult thing to do, but we're going to keep it simple, and we're going to find out, hey, we don't have to touch those other settings, and everything just works. So first, let's explore a little bit. We're going to go to this cog icon, which is the settings, and open up this pop-up window. Now, exit out of there by clicking away. Let's start with the editor first, and let's go to the first one. So here's the editor, and we're going to go down this list a little bit. First one, the automatic settings that they have is what you'll need. Don't have to do anything, but if you'd like, hey, turn on spell check. So that's number 1. Easy, right? Number 2, we're going to look at the plugin menu, plugins menu. And there are 3 things that we will do. Okay, so plugin. I guess I had it spelled right. First one, remember how in the previous video we started to add tags? Well, now let's turn on the tag pane, and it's going to show up right here. Okay, so we'll return that shortly. Page preview, very cool for a future video. We'll turn it on now. And starred notes, so we don't forget those notes that we might want to keep handy. Let's exit out of here. So what did we do? We created this, we enabled the tag pane, and that has created this. So now we can click on concept, and we can see the times that concept comes up. We can click on people and see when people comes up. And we can go back to the backlinks tab and back to the tags. So that's the tag, and let's go back to folder. Page preview, we'll look at in the future. Starred notes. So now we have the starred note here. And what we can do is, let's say we want to star this note. We can go up to the more options part of this note, which is sort of this sandwich, these 3 circles, and we can go down and star this note. Now when we have, what do we have there? 8 notes, it's not a big deal. But when you have 800 notes or even just 80 notes, you might want to star something. Then you can just go here really quickly. Let's imagine I was on Note Star and I wanted to get back to the topic for this conversation. Then I just click back to our note. Cool, right? I like to stay on File Explorer on the side, and that's halfway through. So let's go now to the next part of the settings. Just File and Deleted Files. So it's important that we decide where we want to keep our files. Now for me, I kind of like to keep it in the system trash. And what that means is it's your computer, your file system's trash. Let's explore that really fast. Let's say I create a new note and I title it Nonsense. I don't want to keep it, so I right click and I'll hit delete. And I'll confirm that it's deleted. So where did it go? It actually just went to the Max trash folder, and here it is. So that's what I would prefer that you do. Then you always know where deleted notes go, and you want them to go somewhere you're familiar with. All right, going on to the next one. This is bolded because out of everything in the settings, I find this to be the most important one, especially once you start linking and changing the names of the files that you link to. You want them to always update. Turn this on. So now that means, see this note, never note, it's linked to NoteStar, right? So what if we change NoteStar to NoteStar 2? I click away, it gives me this up here, updated 3 links in 1 file. So now I'm going to go to Nevernote and check this out. Nevernote has updated NoteStar 2. That means that when I command click on it, it takes me to Notestar. So that is so crucial. This is the most important setting in anything that you do with Obsidian. Turn it on. Now, final two, let's look at appearance. We have dark mode and we have light mode. Hopefully that didn't hurt your eyes too much. We're going to explore themes in an upcoming video, and also we're going to explore custom themes. That will be pretty fun. Right now, we won't touch them too much. And finally, in an upcoming video, we're going to look at hotkeys, so we can do a preview like that with a touch of a button and really see what this format might look like when it's outside of the edit mode of Markdown. Okay, let's pick up from where we left off. And if you remember, we had enabled custom CSS. And when we do that, we have these custom themes buttons. And we also really quickly explored base mode, changing it from dark to light. So now we're in light mode. Here's kind of what the app looks like. This might be familiar to what you're used to when you're working with most of the apps until recently around. They've always been in quote light mode. It was just the only mode we knew. Now there's dark mode. I tend to prefer it too. I know it's trendy, but it is kind of nice, especially when you're looking at the screen for long hours. So for now, we're in dark mode, and let's explore community themes. So what you do is you find a theme, you're just scrolling. Oh, this one's new. And we can click use. And so now we're in this custom theme, which is really big. I'll show you this hotkey later, but you can reduce the size on things. And you can kind of see what this looks like. Let's try a different one. Hopefully Okay, so this is a really nice theme that's similar to the custom theme. And it has a really cool map. Okay, so these maps aren't showing up too well. If you noticed on my other screen, I have this pretty advanced looking setup. So I don't mean to go too crazy with this, but let's use it for this purpose. So this is part of what's called the light kit, which is the linking your thinking kit. And this is a starter kit. So as you gain experience, you might think like, how do I connect everything? I use folders. Do I use tags? What can I use? Links, to connect these ideas over time. It's easy when we have 50 notes, but when we have 500 and we have 5,000, it's a different story. So I created this kit to allow you to kind of figure out how that works. That'll be a different video and a whole different series. For now, though, let's use it to explore themes. So this is a custom theme. This is called Cybertron, which I created, and it's kind of like futuristic and stuff. You can see a little bit of the look. So what's kind of neat here is, remember bold? In this theme, bold is its own color. And if we wanted something to be italicized, that's its own color. You can see the color for links. If we want to click on direction, that takes us to this direction note. If we click on for virtues, that takes us to this note. A lot going on here. Let's not just stay on this theme though. Let's go back to that really cool kind of Obsidian alternative theme by one of the Obsidian mods on the Discord forum, actually. So this is pretty cool. It's clean. It really takes advantage of that purple color. And if we look at the graph view here, it's a pretty cool looking thing. And we can click into any of these notes. Let's click into what are higher order notes. And here's the structure of a note. Now we're in edit view. And we can see this is a title, right? Just that single hash. We could add hashes and reduce the size, but that's a title. We'll keep it that way. Something else you might have noticed is this thing called the local graph. So any note I click on, and this is really wild, but we can see a local graph version of it here. I don't want to go into all those features, but we're just exploring the themes. Let's check out one more dark theme, and then we'll go into light mode, check out a few themes there, and just kind of show you what's possible. So this theme, this is a pretty cool theme. What's neat is members of this community, and typically any community, they're creating themes that they enjoy. And so here's another one by a member of the community. And you can see the different headers are different colors. So that's an important thing. If, for this theme, it's an important thing. Let's see what other colors there are. So, okay, pretty cool. Yeah, I can dig that. Let's stay in edit mode and let's go to appearance, and we're going to switch it to light mode. And let's check the community themes for light mode. So we've dealt with a lot of color, and this theme, as it happens, is clean theme. So let's check out clean theme, see what this looks like. So, I mean, if you're just used to dark mode, it's like, wow, the irises are blown out. But after you get used to it, well, maybe something can be done with the graph view, but after you get used to it, it is going back to this attention note. You can see here's bold, here's italic, and we can see the different headers, the links that we can go to different notes. So this is a pretty minimal theme. The idea with a minimal theme is it's great because it's just you and the text. So you can actually just work on your ideas and write. That's what we want to do. We want to have a little bit of fun, yes, but then we want to get back to writing, thinking, and linking. So let's check out maybe just one more. Scrolling through. Why not this one? By another Obsidian mod. And this is the light mode version of it. So we see, let's check out the different titles. Okay, all one color, which is an off black. And then we get into our text. If there's a link, it's a lighter color. And let's jump back to this attention note. Here's bold, here's italic. So I think you get the idea. Like, this can be fun. You can lose hours in this. You can design your own. But it shows you the versatility and the power that you can have as the graphical interface in which you interact as you take your notes, as you make your notes. Hopefully you got something out of this video. It's a little bit different than the other ones because I think those other ones are a little bit more practical. This one's kind of, fun. You can mess around with it, spend almost too much time, but it does harken to one of the really important reasons we do all this is that we want to have fun. We want the experience that we have as we manage our personal knowledge. We want it to be a joyous experience. And I have to say, when I go back to my Cybertron theme, which we'll do now, this brings me more joy than it should. Let me update that. This, for whatever reason, brings me a lot more joy than it should. I enjoy working. I'm more creative in this mode, but I know it's not for everyone. It's definitely an acquired taste. Okay, I'm excited to jump into the hotkeys. So let's create a new note using a hotkey. I'll tell you that one later. And let's call this the 8 most important hotkeys in Obsidian. I'm only showing you 3 now, but you will see the other ones. So the first one is open link while you're in edit mode. You've seen me do this already, and it's a command click on the link. I think on a Windows it's control. I'm going to be speaking in terms of the Mac operating system, so keep that in mind. So let's find a note, and we're in edit mode, right? Because we can see this hash. Now, if we get out of edit mode, which we'll cover, then we don't see the hash anymore. We're back in edit mode. So if I just click on this note, it's like I'm trying to edit it. But once I hit command and then I click, boom, opens the note. I use this all the time. Super, super powerful. Once you start thinking in terms of these links, you need to be able to use this hotkey. So that's a command click. So where's another one? Adversity paradox, press command and click. Boom, we're there. Okay, now I'm looking on the side and let's go to the next one. So number 2, toggle preview. So this is edit mode. This is preview mode. How am I getting there? I'm hitting Command E. What's really nice is this allows you to be a left-handed ninja. You just keep your left hand right on the keyboard, hold down Command, and you can toggle back and forth. When you're in preview mode, as you might expect, it looks nicer, but you can't edit. When you're in edit mode, you see the kind of the behind the scenes formatting of Markdown, and you can edit. So that's number 2. Number 3, open the quick switcher. So once you do want to start typing, bring that right hand off of the mouse and hit Command O. And that opens up the quick switcher. Then you can start typing whatever word comes to mind. I'm thinking note star, but I can't remember. So I was like note and then N-O-S for whatever reason. And then, ooh, note star. I hit enter, boom, we get taken to the note. So that is another extremely valuable hotkey. Let's throw in the next 3. Boom. Number 4, search. This is Command Shift F. See what happens here? It takes us to this new pane. We were at File Explorer, but when I hit Command Shift F, I just can start typing. And in this case, I'm going to type in for never. And I can see the 2 notes populate immediately. Maybe I want to search for a hashtag. So then I go concept, and I have these 3 concepts, and I can see it was used twice in this note. One here and one here. Very cool. Boom. That's repeat. Don't need that. And let's go back now. Next hotkey. Okay, so you start navigating around, and just like an internet browser, sometimes you want to navigate backwards. So there's actually a hotkey for that. Obsidian is a pretty advanced app, so instead of wasting real estate with big back and forward buttons, which will probably be some sort of plugin later if you really want, instead the way to do that is to use hotkey. In this case, it's Command Option left arrow, left arrow, left arrow, left, 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 and it just takes me back, 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 back. Same thing, Command Option right takes me forward, and that's number 6. 2 more to go. Can you see how just a few hotkeys can really take your game to that next level? Final 2, new note. Remember, we were just going to new note. We started this video series on new note. Well, if you can imagine, it's Command N. That creates a new note. So I just hit Command N, and I just start typing, and that's the title immediately. It can be whatever you'd like it to be. Then you hit the tab button, and then you're typing in the title. So that's pretty nice. How am I going to get back to that old note? I hit back. Boom, I'm back. And last part, this kind of opens up a whole new window of functionality. So we're just hinting at it, is that we can open a note in a new window. So what does that look like? Not a brand new window, but a new pane. So we command click on a note. So remember when we were in edit mode, if we command clicked on a link, it opened that note in this pane. But if we command click over here on a note, let's see what happens. Command click on this note. It opens a new pane. And these might be a little tight, so in case you weren't aware, you can find the edges and drag these however you need to so you can see them. So now we have 2 windows, and remember what I can do to see preview mode? I can toggle that with Command E. Here is me toggling preview mode again. Now let's say maybe I don't want to look at red pill, blue pill, so what I'm going to do is quick switcher. What was that? Command O, and I type oh, there it is, and I hit enter. And I'm at the adversity paradox. So hopefully you can see just how powerful this application is, especially once you know the Markdown, especially when you know a few basic settings, and especially when you have a few hotkeys at your disposal. If you've made it this far, thank you for your attention. I hope this masterclass has been valuable for you. Here's the most important thing I can leave you with. It's tempting to fill your library with other people's thoughts, clipping articles, saving quotes. But as your library fills with other people's words, it's your own thinking that gets lost. So just start creating. You have enough tools now. Connect new ideas with your own thoughts. Don't just take notes, make them. That's linking your thinking. If you want to get a detailed breakdown on all the parts of Obsidian that have changed since this was recorded, you can go ahead and scan the QR code on screen, and I'll send you details on the most important changes to Obsidian. And if you're ready to take your Obsidian skills to the next level, then this playlist will get you up to speed with Obsidian's advanced features, now that you've mastered all the essentials. Check it out next. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing what you create.